A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Welcome in, everybody. You got another edition of A2D Radio here. And this one's going to be a little different on Friday nights. Friday nights, we plan on bringing on some guests and doing some different things and having some round tables and a lot of different things we plan on bringing to you on Friday nights. But here we are, and with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter yesterday, we were thinking about coming on after a loss, and things would have been ugly here in the city. It would have probably got burned to the ground if we didn't win this football game. And somehow, some way, we were able to win a game that with our season on the line. And it was a gutsy performance from our quarterback and and some gutsy performance from some guys on the offense, really. You know, the defense played well, but we'll get into everything. But like we said, we thought we were coming on and this next 10 days was going to be ugly and was going to be a lot of doom and gloom. It was going to be a lot of, well, who's the first big money guy to get dealt, right? And then what are we getting back? And now we're starting a whole rebuild in October, which is never a good time. Never a good time. We want playoff football any way we can get it, and we live to play another week, and we should be able to get a little bit more healthy as this goes on too. So that's exciting. Later on the show, or whatever part of the show, there's a certain radio host in this city that needs to be crucified for his statements. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Around the NFL, some key matchups this Sunday. Eagles trade rumors, or what rumors do you want to be true? Obviously, the one rumor that came out, not Eagles related, was Antonio Brown to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the rich just got a hell of a lot richer. And Brady got his guy, right? Russell Wilson thought he was going to be playing with Antonio Brown, right? Russell Wilson's like, oh, yeah, looks like me and AB are going to be teaming up. And then Brady got a wind of it. Brady got a sniff of it. You know what? Let me get this guy down to Tampa. So another football team went out and just got better today and are all in to try to win this year. We'll see what the Eagles' decisions are. We'll talk about them.
What's that like?
I don't know. That's why we're going to talk about it. It's like to be all in because I don't know what we are right now and what our GM and this organization want us to be for this year, knowing how you're up against the cap next year and as much money as you are up against the cap. That's something that when I know I'm going into a year like this, if I'm not a playoff team, I'm in all sell mode. But if I have a chance to get in the dance, I got to try to be all in. We'll recap what was of last night, the ups, downs, and difference, because there was a lot of it. It was emotional. I mean, that one felt like we all played. You know what I mean? I felt like I was in the pads last night, had the helmet on, woke up today like I played. That's how the body felt. Look like I took a couple hits. But, you know, the defense did what we asked them to do, and we'll get into all these things. And we obviously want your comments, questions, and all that. But every show, we are brought to you by our doc, make him yours. That's Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. I'm Tom Arnone, Ryan Brodo, Greg Wagwick, Jake Friel, and everybody out there. Chime in. And our poll question, because, you know, it ties into something I heard earlier, and it might have been by accident. You know, I was walking outside, and I may or may not have heard Greg say, well, they didn't really win that game. And let's leave it there, but it ties into our poll question. Brought to you by Ambuck Services, 20% off. Telling the boys from A2D sent you. Philadelphia Eagles shouldn't be happy with the win against the Giants. Agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. That's everywhere we're live, and everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Please like, please subscribe, please follow, please download. Thanks, guys. And we'll read off all your comments and questions. All you got to do is just do that. To the poll, we shouldn't be happy with a win against the Giants. Agree or disagree? Fully disagree. Fully disagree. If you're not happy with a win right now and how this season was going, I can't help you. You just weren't trying to win games anyway. That's all you weren't trying to win games anyway. You didn't care. You're an April guy. You're an April junkie. You can't wait. You got your little glasses on, looking at the computer like what's the top 50 for next year look like? Right? And you're one of them guys already in October. I don't want no parts of them guys right now. That's nerd talk, right? I'm trying to get into the playoffs any way I can. Any way I can. So should it be happy? Is there issues with last night's game? Yeah. There's things I don't like. But we got out with a win.
What up, Ma?
What up, Mama? And we got out with a win. And that's all you're trying to do in the National Football League. Get out with wins, especially in a game where your season's completely on the line. And the way it looked like you had no shot of winning. And then to find a way to win that game? You know, come on. You can say, well, the Giants did this, and that's when they gave it to us, fine. But we let them hang in the game too. We didn't play clean either. And we still were able to get out with a win. Against, a team we should beat? Sure. But who are we? I mean, our offense is all banged up. All banged up. So I don't understand anybody that's not happy with it. What wouldn't you be happy with? A win? Because it's not always going to be pretty. And when you're a 1-4-1, I don't know if people expected pretty. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I expected a clean game. I just wanted a win. Because a win gets guys buying back in if they weren't. That's what wins do. Wins get guys to start crossing T's and dotting I's, right? A little bit better in the film room when you win a football game like that. And you get to get a little healthier, maybe. So, the Eagles shouldn't be happy with a win against the Giants, agree or disagree. Listen, if it's week 12 and we're already out of the playoffs, then I'm not happy with wins. You know what I mean? Of course not. Then I don't care about wins. But when you're still in the dance or an opportunity to win a shit division, you guys aren't all in to try to win games? I don't know. I got different pulse than some cats then. I'm a wake up to win guy. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to wake up to lose games, especially when I can win a division. And if it's good, bad, or indifferent, I don't care. It gets me a home playoff game. Anything can happen in the dance. And I want Nick Foles and the Chicago Bears to come in here. I want that to happen. I want to end that conversation because my quarterback's got a brass set. So I want to end that debate too, once and for all at this point of their careers. So you guys tell us, Philadelphia Eagles shouldn't be happy with the win against the Giants. Agree or disagree? Well, I made my stance. Fully disagree. And if you agree, you better have a good explanation.
Yeah, I feel like, Greg, you need to go second here because I, with my own ears, need to hear why you may not think we should be happy with a victory after last night. I would like to react off of what you're saying because
that's fine. That's why you guys wanted me on the show tonight, so you can, you didn't really want an extra voice. You just wanted someone to yell and scream at. So I see right through everybody. I didn't even know what the poll question was. It's just like, it's Friday night after a long week of work. Hey, Greg, no one wants to come on the show. You want to come on and do it? Yeah, sure.
Tom,
I'll help out the team. I'll help the team out. Yep.
Tom, see,
so
we know
I agree. We should not be happy. I mean, the team.
Hold on, you were wrong because that's not what happened. I asked before Ryan even changed the poll question because I said, "Oh, Greg's coming on." Oh, guess what I heard Greg say earlier? And he's like, "Oh, should I change the poll?"
There you go.
That's how it happened. So you were invited on before this. And
it was still, but you still had that ready to go, though. Whether the poll question was there or not, you had it in your mind like you were ready to go.
I forgot about it because we were bullshitting, and then I said it. You're right. The poll question tied into attack. You don't know.
I see you. No, I was talking from a fan standpoint. The team should absolutely 100% be ecstatic with a win. Right? From a team standpoint, you should be happy with a win because they're hard to come by in the NFL. Right? But for me as a fan, I outside of Carson, and what we and outside of Carson and what he's shown the last few weeks, all winning does after a game like that is just put lipstick on a pig. And right now, that's an insult to pigs. Right? Howie's looking at Jeffrey like, oh, thank you. You saved my ass for a week. I won't get fired till maybe after the bye now because of this win, right?
Anyway.
And this has nothing to do with April. This has nothing to do with we're watching slop for most of the time. But as a team in that locker room, they absolutely should be happy. But as a fan, I wasn't happy with the win last night.
Why?
Because there's just too much, right? You start off great. And you're like, all right, cool. Why can't we do this more often? And then you just go down this rabbit hole of just self-inflicted errors on all sides. You get exposed by a bad Giants team in all areas, right? There's times the offense just, the one play that could, the one play touchdown to Golden Tate over Cravon. You know what I mean? Like, come on, that can't happen.
So it wasn't a perfect victory for you?
And doesn't even have to be perfect. I even picked a close game. But when you start off the way you do, and then up until the last drive of the fourth quarter, you're down in the dumps of like a dumpster fire, and then all of a sudden you rise up just to win the game. Like, that doesn't excite me. That doesn't make me happy.
But here's the thing, and you just said it to where it confirms what I believe we already thought of how you were going to explain this. You expected a close game. Therefore, you can't say you expected anything else but what we saw. I
expected more consistency. I expected a lower scoring game, but I expected more consistency. Like, I didn't expect us to like completely, Tom, as you said, and you guys played the emotions great last night during the show. 6 minutes, everybody went blank on the screen because that game essentially was over. Right. And that's those things. Like, I'm good with a close game, but I can't have those major dives in consistency from both sides of the football.
Fair. But listen, this is all my point is to that, right? My point to that is the way they won the game late. Okay. Sometimes it's about the way you win it late too.
Don't disagree.
I understand. There were some things, Ryan will attest to it. He was on live last night. I personally wasn't happy with. Okay. And I was looking for heads to roll.
And that's exactly it.
My defensive coordinator heads to roll because a 97-yard drive, I have zero time with in the guts of the game. Zero time with. But I'll say it again. The way you won that football game.
I couldn't disagree more with that. Like, that drive that he put together, that's what I'm saying. Like, with Carson, like, I'm stoked for Carson for that win, right? I'm stoked for Boston Scott because, again, none of us crushing Boston Scott this offseason didn't think he had a role on this team. It just wasn't as RB2.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, Boston Scott can do these things that he did last night. Mm-hmm. And obviously we all believe in Carson and we think that he's that guy. Sure, it was that one pick that we thought he was throwing out of bounds. Ill-advised, sure. But that throw and that drive to win the game, I completely agree with you. Like, that's something you can hang on, especially for Carson. You know what I mean? Going to the locker room. They as a team should be happy. There's no question about it. I'm just from a fan standpoint, I'm not.
I'm happy because football would have been over.
No, you're right there.
Like, honestly, Greg, would you rather have, and obviously I know this is a rhetorical question, but the alternative was they go on and they finish that collapse against the Giants last night and they lose. And we're talking about, to Tom's point, drafts, friggin' mock drafts. What are the Sixers going to be doing in 5 months when they come back? Like, we will completely move on from all of that. Or regardless, like, we get it. This is the second worst division in the history of football since the merger in the 70s. And the only reason why it's the second, not the first, it's because of the Eagles tie. There's no arguments to say, hey, nobody's saying the Eagles are a good football team, and we know the other three definitely aren't either because somehow we're in first place today. So we know that. But just because you're not a good football team and you don't have Super Bowl aspirations doesn't mean you can't. And I'm not saying we should be celebrating. I'm not saying we should pull a Cleveland Browns from 2017 or 2018 when they had one victory and they threw a damn parade the next morning. Like, nobody's saying that. But at the end of the day, number one, and we, Tom Crome and I, we said it live, as soon as you saw that Deshaun Jackson hit, it was like, okay, screw this. We need to beat the Giants because this just made things personal, number one. Number two, it's always fun beating the Giants. That's the second thing. And number three, we talked about it last night. Tom alluded to it earlier. What's so wrong with sneaking in the playoffs? And even if we get blown out by 40 by whoever we play, you know what it does? It gets Carson Wentz and also the younger players some much needed playoff experience. You know what I'm talking about? Because Carson was robbed of that last year. You know what I'm saying? And then to Tom's point, like we talked about last night, you sneak in the playoffs, you come out with a victory. Hell, you're getting Carson Wentz's first, playoff victory. It doesn't matter that you won 5 games. You're going to remember the season 5 years from now saying, hey, Carson Wentz with nobody around him, an awful roster, an awful GM, a defensive coordinator that definitely leaves a lot to be desired. He put the team on his back. He earned respect throughout not only the city, but throughout the entire country as, all NFL fans. I think that's what we should be rooting for. Nobody's saying that's going to happen. Nobody's saying that's realistic. Nobody's saying that's what we deserve when we wanted back in August when we were previewing the season. But there's signs, mainly surrounded by this quarterback, and once again, a defensive line to where it's kind of like they mirror each other. It's like, okay, the defensive line as a whole disappeared for big chunks of the game. They showed up in spots, obviously. We forced the much-needed turnovers. We didn't do anything with them on offense mostly, but that's, a different conversation. And then Carson, you see Brandon Graham come up big. Again, big play type of a guy. Carson Wentz, again, he's a lot of things. Inconsistent, yes. He's definitely clutch. Nobody can do the whole he's not clutch thing anymore. That was kind of like the dark cloud over him for the first, I would say, 3-4 years of his career. Mm-hmm. Oh, Carson Wentz doesn't have any winning touchdown drives. Oh, he disappears in the fourth quarter. Hell, it's the exact opposite now. It's like just survive to the fourth quarter and Carson's going to do it. It doesn't matter if it's Richard Rodgers, Travis Fulgham, Huntley, Kroom. It doesn't matter. That's why I'm happy about this victory. Because you stick it to the Giants to where I think they're one of the maybe 2 football teams that could have lost that game last night. Them and the other New York team, the Jets. And 2, it's respect warranted for this quarterback. There's a lot of things left to be desired. I went back and watched Doug Peterson. That's one of maybe the worst football game I've seen him coach in a long time. There's definitely negatives, but we still have meaningful football on the horizon. And like we were talking about pre-show, there's a window here to where we can really cement ourselves in a really good spot, not throughout the league, but in a very winnable division.
Mm-hmm. Listen, you're always trying to win a football game like this. And, Steve was talking about, winning out, and you have 3 winnable games on your schedule coming up.
Yep.
Not winning out, I'm just saying you have 3 winnable games coming up. And you sort of control your own destiny in a way. And I think when you have them things that, you're always in. You're always would say you're in for that, right? And you look at it like, okay, look, you want to talk, anyone want to talk about Carson and inconsistency, fine. But, look what's out there. Tight end that wasn't on a team 2 months ago. Your air quote number 1 wide receiver wasn't on a team 2 months ago, right? Greg Ward, you're better off in being like your 4th, right? Than like, you're 2. Right, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, you prefer him not to be on a team, right? So the list goes on what you have out there. Right? Makes sense. So there's going to be some inconsistencies at times when you're playing with newer guys again and again and again, and your offensive line's different, and you're getting banged up all over the place. Nobody's been hitting more. So all them things factor in the some inconsistencies because quarterbacks aren't going 30 for 30. You know what I mean? So you're going to have bad balls at times. You're going to look like, oh my God, that's a terrible pass. But the ability to make big plays, when it matters most is what we should judge our quarterbacks off of in this city. And what we seen last night was the ability to rally. And we talked about it in the Ravens game, and it carried into this game where you could have told him the game was over and he wasn't listening. And the same thing happened last night. You could have went and said, Carson, this game's over. And he wasn't paying attention to you. And that's what I want out of my quarterback. Play like it's nothing. And we saw that again last night. And to do it with the cast of characters and the offensive line he had, I mean, you got to give respect. I don't care who you're playing. The Giants are the 12th ranked defense in football. I mean, people acting like the freaking 30th ranked defense in football is coming in here. That's too. And then was some of Doug's play calls to be desired? Left to be desired on? Yeah, sure. I'm not happy with every play call. I'm not happy with some of the 2-point conversions. I think they're freaking stupid. Okay, some of the things he did was 2-point conversions. But again, I got to remember what he's working with too.
Mm-hmm.
All the new pieces again offensively.
Yep.
New offensive line. Like it's not easy to win games in this period, and it sure as hell ain't easy to win games the way this team's been banged up. So, am I happy with a win with this roster as constructed? Hell yes. If you told me fully healthy, would I be happy with an ugly win like this? I would still tell you, guess what? Hell yes, because I just want wins. Weeks feel better with wins. They will always feel better with wins. That's all. Jake?
I think with me too, I disagree with the poll. At the end of the day, yeah, it was ugly, but at the end of the day, the guys went in the locker room with a W. I mean, I get where Greg and some other people are coming from with the inconsistencies. You're paying the kicker, arguably top 5 kicker money, and he's just stunk, plain and simple. Javon Hargraves right now, that contract's not looking great either. But at the end of the day, with all the injuries, and again, the Giants aren't anything really to sneeze at, but it's just something. It's a confidence builder, and like we talked about earlier, we have a stretch right now to where we can make at least some serious noise within the division, not within the league, just within the division, and kind of pin ourselves in a good spot to possibly win the division this year. But again, I get where people are coming from with the inconsistencies with Carson and the other players I talked about. But at the end of the day, we finished the game with a W, and like Ryan said earlier, the Doug Peterson, that was arguably I think the worst play calling game that he's had in his career as a head coach, and hopefully it gets better, because at least with these 2-point conversions that we saw, I think, how many was it, like 5 or 6 that we saw last night? What that tells me more than anything, you don't have faith in your $21 million kicker. So again, if Elliott struggles again next week, then we might be looking for a new kicker during the bye week. So, but all that being said, I'm happy with the W.
Isn't it crazy though? We'd be looking for a kicker and we pay $21 million to a kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Can't make that shit up. And listen, we want to talk about, Greg, some of the things that I want your opinion on, because we talked about it last night. And I know you'll probably agree with this, but so whatever, it's $7.9 million cap hit. You get rid of them, okay?
For who?
Elliott.
Yeah, you read my box. I was just looking it up on Spotrac.
I saw you typing, and we talked about it last night. That's the only reason I know. Somebody looked it up for us. And so, long story short, is if he makes that kick on in the half, this game's probably different.
Yep.
Probably different, because
you're absolutely right.
The whole momentum just gets ripped from you when you do that. Carson's interception didn't help, but at least you're back down there again with a chance to come away from points. Carson, hey, you can't throw that ball there. The boy, anybody think that's a good ball? I disagree with. So, got to either throw it away or just live to play another down there. Okay? But you'll live with that sometimes. But he's almost getting to that fully clean game. But Jake Elliott needs to make that kick. When we're talking about 29-yarders. And if you're missing from 50, missing from inside 30, then what are you good at? That's the biggest concern. So my question to you, Greg, is do you think that, you think that game's a little bit more consistent and cleaner if he makes that kick? And I know
there's no question.
But, just momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the inconsistencies on this year. And as part of the frustration of the inconsistencies is he hasn't been good. And that's part of it, because you're right. You expect to win division games ugly, right? And then, when your offense gets down there and they, because of some, issues on the offensive side, we don't get in the end zone, in the red zone as often as we like. We need at least those 3. You need those 3, because then that just completely changes the game. And it keeps you close. And even if everything else changes, then it's like you don't need a touchdown at the end of the game. You only need a field goal. And it's completely different game. You're absolutely right.
So another question for you guys, all right, to the family out there. And then, before I read this, before I go on another thing, let's get to some of the peeps, all right? Time to get to some of the peeps out there chiming in, because they're flying in. Chelsea Swag says we're first in the division, and Daniel Jones, Dalton, Haskins. yet you're all still worried. No, I'm getting away from being worried, Chelsea, to be honest with you. I'm getting away from being worried right now because of the other quarterbacks. Now, next Sunday night, I'll still be worried. It depends on who's back and who's healthy for us, too. I mean, that's going to matter, and it's going to factor in the my thought process as well. Kobe Bryant Jr., I think we finally utilized Boston Scott, and him and Sanders can be super effective. Well, we thought they were going to be super effective together. They haven't been. I think what's going to happen is that if the offensive line can get healthier, I think you'll see more effectiveness out of the backfield. Because I think it's really hard to run the run block when you have all these moving parts all the time. It's almost easy to say, "Hey, block the guy in front of you. We're just going to throw the ball a shit ton." Where else were we at? Jay, that's not going to get read off, babe. You know what I mean? That's not going to get read off because we're getting to the comments. So there you go, Jay. You got something to say, babe? You know what I mean? You're going to come in hot like that. Did you say something productive before that we missed? I don't see it. Phil says we're smelling blood early in the season. Jeffrey Jackson got it. Hurts are coming later in the season while the machine is up and running. Listen, now I'll just take Jackson out of that because I can't trust anything anymore with him. But yes, all the rest should be coming back at some point. So you are going to get healthier, you would hope, as this season goes further. All right. Phil says Clement is a buster. Yeah, he's not any good. He's not.
Okay.
Lord, these next 3 games are pivotal too. And yes, they are very pivotal, right? Because you're talking about Dallas, Giants again, and then the Browns isn't pivotal like in division wise, but the game you could win and you should be in the football game. So he goes, these next 3 games are pivotal too, though. And to step his defense, if we don't have us healthy and playing with confidence, the 3 games after with Seattle, Green Bay, and New Orleans become highly, highly likely losses. You're absolutely right. That's why these next 2 divisional games are pivotal, and that's why last night's game was as pivotal as that was. So, no, was it clean? But no, it wasn't clean, but it was a win, and it was a tough fought-out win, and it was a resilient win, and resilient wins go a long way. All right? Resilient wins go a long way.
And Tom, I'll add this too. I agree everything with what you're saying, Lord, but at the end of the day, that makes me even happier about the win because if you don't win last night, the games against Seattle and Green Bay and New Orleans don't matter.
You know what's going to happen, though. You know what's going to happen. We know this team so well. You know what's going to happen. They're going to beat Green Bay in Green Bay, and then they're going to lose to Washington again.
You said it, not me.
This the way this team is, right? They're going to come out, they're going to beat Green Bay because no one expects them to. And then, with the division on the line, they're losing to Washington again, and we just get our hearts ripped out. We know this team.
Listen, you're right. But we still get in. Snagova says we need a power back. They're going to kill Wentz. He's getting punished every week. Yep, Jordan Howard.
Thank you.
All right. You're going there, too.
Nope. 2 months, take a look.
Muscle memory.
Yeah.
He says one of the worrisome things is how the regression of Doug's play calling is in the red zone. Hopefully getting healthy will be a remedy to some of this. Yes.
Hopefully.
Agree to the first point and absolutely agree to the second point because it absolutely be a remedy. Listen, we just didn't get bad in the red zone. Carson all of a sudden is not as dominant as he's been in his career in the red zone. We go off trends, boys. He's been great in the red zone his whole career. Doug's been a good play caller in the red zone his whole career. I got to assume that personnel is affecting it a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Bill
Middlebrook in the house. You win division games. You win division. Simple. You're right.
I agree, Bill.
Y'all said Miles Sanders doesn't lose to Washington. Yeah. Well, if you remember the last divisional game they had last year, or before Dallas was against Washington. That was another strike by Carson Wentz to Miles Sanders in the back of the end zone.
Yep.
And you've seen another one of these darts against the Giants last night. So the next question is to you guys is if we did lose that football game last night, who was going to be your first to go outside of Howie? Say Howie doesn't go.
Wow.
They put Howie.
Jim Schwartz.
Yeah,
and
Jim
what?
Schwartz.
Because number one, and granted, again, Howie's the true, he's the true clown in all of this. But number one, he's not getting fired. Number two, for this exercise, he's not getting fired. So I completely understand that, like we've talked about a lot, he's a guy that tells Doug and Jim, he has a lot of say in, the who's playing where and when they're playing. But you look at the rush attack, okay? And we talk about fireable offenses where, again, we understand that the roster has been really banged up as a whole. But the one thing that you really can't say is that the defense has been shredded with injuries. We get it. Avonte Maddox was hurt. Like, we understand. Will Parks was banged up and he came back. Say that again.
Avonte Maddox isn't good, and Will Parks is just a guy, too.
Well, and that's exactly. Like, so my point is all the guys that have been hurt, they're not game changers. Like TJ Edwards, him being out, is that a game changer? No. Like, I understand.
Maybe, because that's how bad the linebackers are right now.
Yeah, like we might need like somebody who's like borderline NFL talent as opposed to like pee-wee football.
Watch how you talk about my son.
Yeah,
we just complimented him. That's probably the nicest thing we ever said about him.
It's almost like a backhanded complimenting him, but
it's like the nicest thing everyone ever said, except for he's starting. Then I said that.
Yeah. Right now, you're like begging for TJ Edwards back. Like
that's how bad it is.
I don't even know how long he's out for because I forgot about him.
He's back. He's back against the Cowboys.
14 tackles. No, I'm just kidding.
Defensive player of the game, locked.
Canton.
Oh yeah, Canton, Ohio. Yeah, exactly. But you really can't say this defensive line has been banged up. Like we understand that Hargrave started the year banged up. Same thing with Barnett. We understand. But we talk about the depth of this defensive line, all of the money going into this defensive line, and they've been by far the healthiest unit of this football team, and it's not even close. Mm-hmm. When you look at, we were 20th in rushing defense coming into last night's game before. Then we saw the Wayne Gallman effect where it was like he was dressed up as Saquon Barkley for Halloween with a little bit of Deion Lewis. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we made the combination of Wayne effing Gallman and Deion Lewis look like McCaffrey and Barkley. Like, and then also you look at it to where it's becoming, like we always talk about trends, Dom, that the last handful of weeks, and granted, one was against the Ravens, good football team. One was against the Steelers, good football team. And then you look at, obviously, the Giants last night, but it doesn't matter because you players on your schedule. The defensive line and the defense as a whole gets off to a solid start, right? Mm-hmm. And then the opposing offense makes the adjustments. Like any football coach, regardless of if you're on the Jets or on the Patriots, they're going to do. For some reason, and this goes back to the Jim Schwartz stubbornness, he feels that, I'm just going to stick with what worked 2 hours ago. Mm-hmm. No. The 97-yard drive, and I'm not even talking about – that doesn't even include the drive where Daniel Jones ran 80 yards and then fell on his face. Like, we just forget about that to where they kind of had two – 90-plus yard drives. That's inexcusable. Yeah. That's inexcusable. When you talk about how soft they played on coverage, you talk about the rushing attack to where, and I understand nobody was making a tackle. I get it to where Jim Schwartz's job isn't to make tackles. Javon Hargrave needs to start playing like an NFL player, not just somebody who – exactly. Like, forget about playing up to his contract. Just play like an NFL player for once. My God.
Looks like – I was on with the guys, Philly, the podcast a little while ago, and that was a conversation we had. We were talking about Javon Hargrave. I don't think he can tackle anybody on the panel. And I'll say that for everybody's panel. You know what I mean? Like, I'll panel that up. Like old school 70s paneling in like the basement. You know what I mean? We're panels. That's what this guy couldn't tackle anything. And I'm like, I thought he was good. Like, I thought he was good. You're playing alongside Fletcher Cox. Shit, maybe I can't trade Fletcher down the road. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I can't get rid of that money. Maybe he freaking stinks. So, it was fun being on with them guys. We'll be teaming up again. But Lord Rye, to your point, Jordan Howard, he's been, that's a guy, when we signed him, we all wanted him. We were all excited to get him. Yep. And then all of a sudden, because he was day-to-day for 80 days, 88, it just like the love went away, and I think it went away for Howie too. But to you guys, who's the first guy that would have been gone last night if we lost that football game?
Yeah, pretty much just piggybacking off of what Rye said. Jim Schwartz. It's Jim Schwartz for me because, like Rye said, they're not really banged up. Obviously, they have a couple of injuries here and there, but nothing of major significance. And again, with me, it's just the stubbornness. Like Rye said, the offense adjusted to Jim Schwartz's defense, and then he never adjusted. He's like, no, I'm going to stick with my game plan, and it'll work. And we saw kind of what happened there, and then Brandon Graham saved the day. So again, I appreciate what he did for us in 2017, and actually minus the Super Bowl. Never mind. Gave him 500 something yards to Tom Brady, so I can't even really thank him for that. So maybe it really is time to go.
You can thank Brandon Graham. You can thank Brandon Graham for
Again, yeah.
Again.
And again and again and again.
Mm-hmm. He was having a phenomenal year.
To that one question earlier.
Wine, sorry. He's like a fine. Go ahead, Greg.
As you say, from that one question about Dave Flip earlier, I don't know that he can be anything else. So, I mean, our special teams has been bad for years.
Yeah.
When's the last time? I mean, we talk about so many things on all our shows, right? We finally got a tip drill, interception. We finally got a strip sack we've been asking for a long time, right? We got a couple of these turnovers. When's the last time we had anything going on in the punt or return game? And then obviously we have Jake Elliott struggles. That's on the special teams. I don't know that he's in line for anything else.
So quick, John Harbaugh got a job because he was great at special teams.
But he was great at it, yes.
That's what I mean. So he got a job. I would say Dave Flip has been here forever, and I wouldn't say it's been atrocious, but nothing stood out.
Right.
Nothing stood out. But again, 2017, we had a good special teams, very good unit.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that depends on what kind of roster you got together.
I don't disagree, but I mean, you can have guys that
right now it's almost hard because guys are triple dipping. Yeah,
that was supposed to be Quez Watkins, Adrian Killings, special teams guys.
Well, what's crazy too?
Well.
I've never seen a team, and because we've talked about it for years since obviously 2017, to where Doug Peterson, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey freaking Lurie, they're always talking about, he's a special teams specialist. He's a special teams expert. I've never seen a team talk so much about special teams while also having their special teams suck so bad.
Mm.
We're in an era in the league now to where special teams, especially the kick returns, the punt returns, they don't mean as much as they used to. The rate of kick and punt returns are much more, sporadic and rare compared to what they were 10, 20, 30 years ago. So that's a given. But you're spot on, Greg. You talk about the kicking woes, horrible, but that's more on the kicker. You look at obviously the lack of return in any form, kicking and punting, but then you look at the special teams on defense. How many times do we come out of there with a legal behind the back, a block or a holding, or like last night? And Tom, thank God we weren't on the air for the first half, because I don't even want to know what I would have said in real time, because that special time to where, of course, the Giants did this to where there's just a wide open receiver at the top of the screen and nobody's covered him.
Mm.
Literally, they're getting ready to punt, and thank God the punter didn't see him. That was
a crazy sequence because they pulled that card late.
Uh-huh.
And then the confusion obviously was the Eagles also trying to get their return team on, and in the confusion of everything, you're right. The dude on the outside should have been doing jumping jacks. Hello,
right.
I'm here.
I'm screaming. I'm like, top of your screen. And the crazy thing is, if you go back and look at that game, the entire defensive line, they were looking the other way. They didn't know that they had to run off the field. Yep. They didn't know what to do. It was so I'm like, oh, this is the perfect way to sum up the special teams. There's gonna be a wide open guy, and you're probably gonna walk in the end zone. But thank God we were playing the Giants.
Outside of that, I thought they were just gonna spike the ball and they were gonna get the first down off of the too many men on the field penalty.
Yeah,
that too. Good point. That's a great point.
Jim Schwartz is the easy answer. I don't know if anybody would have, as much as we would have needed somebody to. You know what I mean? Because Jim Schwartz is the easy one. It's not Doug yet. You know what I mean? There's no, that's an end of the season thing if it happens at all, right? I mean, you give him the year, whether and it's still early, but you give him the year. He's earned that. I don't think Howie's got the balls to do Jim, and I just don't know if there's anybody there to do Jim in season. So I don't know if anybody goes, but if there was somebody, I agree. It's you make the statement on Jim because he's at least working with the group that's less injured and quote unquote more talented.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a landslide with Jim if you're not counting Howie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, everybody's in on that. I would say, I would always wonder who that first player would have been, if at all, right? And I wonder what the relationship right now is between Jeffrey and Howie. But I think because of everything that transpired this offseason and is still going on, I think it keeps a lot of jobs around the National Football League. To be honest with you, I think a lot of people get the extra year outside of Atlantic. Dan Quinn's been doing it forever.
Right.
Yeah, forever. So outside of him, John Coy, what's up, boys? Big win last night. Yes, sir.
What's up, John?
What's up, John?
What's up, John?
Chrome says he doesn't think anybody goes during the year. Jim in the all season, even that skeptical. Yeah, it is. Mark Ramirez, the defense isn't bad. Still ranked in the top half of the league on defense. Just so many injuries. They're giving up way too many points per game.
Yeah.
So we can look at all the other stats, but how many points you giving up? And they're giving up too many, in my opinion. What are they giving up? Like 27 now?
Something like that.
28 in that price range. Not my dog. Your shit.
No, it's not mine. I don't know whose dog that is.
Maybe it is.
I don't know.
Where the heck's that? I'll find it.
Okay.
Greg's on the case.
No, I mean, the defense isn't bad. I don't know. It's hard to explain. There's a lot of money there, and I just feel like they should be a little more dominant, right?
You would think.
More consistent. I'm not saying they don't get points scored on them, but they've been a little this year. They haven't lived up to expectations, have they, guys? To you guys? I mean, they haven't lived up to expectations to me. At least they took the football away last night.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you this next one, and everybody out there. What position group are you looking to upgrade before the deadline?
I mean, and I think
all the above.
Yeah, right. I think the easy answer would be linebacker, but I think offensive line's a position you have to look at too with all the injuries because
that's why I'm asking it.
Yeah, you look at it. You look at that. I mean, Jason Kelsey, we don't know how much longer he's going to be here. I mean, the guard position, we need both guards, honestly, depending on when Jason Peters comes back, because I don't think you take out Jordan Mailata. You just let him continue to play, and you put him at right guard. And then again, because we know for a fact Jason Peters is going to get hurt again, so we need to have that other guy at least ready to go. But I think with me, I think the easy answer, I think for everybody, is linebacker.
See, I'm going a completely different direction. I mean, linebacker's the correct answer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you two, to be honest. I'm going cornerback, running back.
Okay.
I've had enough of the Jalen Mills at cornerback thing. I've had enough. Maddox is going to be out for a little while, and he's not good enough anyway. LeBlanc, he's going. I mean, he was a depth guy at best, but he's going backwards. He stinks.
Yeah. Coleman stinks.
Coleman's a freaking disaster. I mean, now I understand why the Rams cut him, and we got him for $1.2 million.
Yeah, now we know why.
Like honestly, and we can't do it because of how injury riddled we are.
Mm-hmm.
If we were healthy, I would say cut him. Like he's a liability, especially in the red zone. He's horrible. And running back, listen, I appreciate Boston Scott. He's a giant killer. Love him. If we didn't have him last night, we weren't winning that football game. I'm comfortable in saying that. But when you talk about sustainability, when you talk about trying to win football games late in the season that aren't against the Giants, that are, to Lord Walker's point earlier, against New Orleans, Green Bay, Cleveland, better football teams, Arizona, which, a lot of people forget about, the fact we have to play them in Arizona later this year.
And also, we never play them well out there.
No.
Regardless of
why?
Regardless of the year, we never play them well out there.
Well, we're never going to play them well until who leaves.
Oh my goodness.
Well, what happened?
No, you said a ball very, very foul.
Until Larry Fitzgerald retires, we're never going to play them well. It's like the same thing with Russell Wilson. Like until Russell Wilson's no longer in Seattle, we will not beat Seattle. Oh,
And
Can I say something about this?
Yeah.
I don't give a rat's ass who we play later on. You know what I mean? Not to you guys, to anybody listening. Like, I don't care what the schedule entails later because we don't know what teams are going to be later either. You know, we assume it, but we don't know, like, if two of the best players on Seattle get banged up and they're not playing. When it makes the game a little different, Bobby Wagner wasn't playing and Russell Wilson wasn't playing. Russell always played. But you know what I mean? Like, it makes the game different. So that's why I don't do it yet. I do it, like, leading up now. We can talk about, like, the next three, per se, because most, realistically, them teams should be what they are right now, right? So you look at Dallas, Giants, Cleveland, and you sort of gauge, okay, in that spurt, what can we go? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Like, what do we think the record will be over the next three? But I had something to say to the cornerback position. I'm not like Jalen Mills wasn't supposed to play corner anyway. It's because we're in that there. You know what I mean? So that's why he has to, get moved to corner because one, they would have just left Devontae out there and he was getting exposed when he was out there. But two, where'd that comment go? The Slay has been kind of a letdown so far. Absolutely has. But guess what? I try to tell people he's not a top 10 corner. He's more like 11 to 15 area. Yep. He's not Terrell Revis. You're not leaving him on an island. So, I mean, that's what you get. He's good. I'm just not going to say he's great. You know what I mean? That's all my point is on him. Greg, what position group you looking at? I know you said everything, but
to me, it's who just went? Barnes just went yard. Wow,
Austin Barnes. Yep.
Dodgers. To me, I agree. It's the offensive line to Jake. I'll go offensive line and running back. As you get these pieces back on offense, or you think you get these pieces back on offense, the constant still remains that Carson's got to be upright to use these pieces. Mm-hmm. And without him being upright, that's a big issue, right? And I don't, whether it's rental, whether it's long-term, like you need almost to remake this offensive line at a lot of key spaces, because I think one of the ways that you try and cut some cap space very easily, and I use that with, it's really not easy because you got to talk Jason Kelce into retiring so that money doesn't count against your cap and you just give it to him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so now you need to spend, you need a center, you need the whole thing. So, but for this year, you got to rebuild that offensive line. If you're going to get these pieces back, Miles back towards the end of the year, and then all the weapons on the outside that are supposed to be, help Carson, which they should, he needs to be upright. So for me, it's the offensive line. No. And the Eagles are giving up 28 points a game.
Yep. So right there.
And only scoring 23.
Yeah, scoring 23 isn't even that bad considering what's out there.
Mm-hmm. No, but yeah, when you're giving up more though.
No, but it should be more than giving up 23 too. It should be right around that area.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unacceptable giving up that many points per game. But some of it has to do with turnovers at times too. But the position I'm looking at and the team I'm looking at is the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm calling to see what they want for either Eric Kendricks, and I don't know if Anthony Barr is healthy. Is Anthony Barr healthy?
I don't know.
I'm checking.
I haven't heard his name at all this year for some reason.
No.
But I like where your head's at.
Already on the sell mode. Give him a ring.
Placed on IR with a torn pectoral.
Nope.
That was a month ago.
He'll fit right in.
Could have had Yannick for nothing.
Could have. I'll take Eric Kendricks.
Oh, I'll definitely take Eric.
Now I'm picking up the phone in Minnesota. I agree with the offensive line. I think that one's a little harder to plug and play on, but that's just that. I totally feel that. Running back's easy to plug and play on. Mm-hmm. I'd be on Jordan Howard again.
Yeah,
you can get him for cheaper too. You can get
what
him
up, Pete?
Yep. What up, Pete?
What's up, Pete?
I'd be in on, obviously, if I got a linebacker, I'm not as worried about my corner position then.
Mm-hmm.
I think we stopped the run way better than we do now.
Yep.
So it makes you more one-dimensional, which I'm a big fan of.
Mm-hmm.
So I would more then go, depending on where my wide receiver and my skill position players are, I might go on the offense side of the football again and may look at some mid-level wide receivers. You know what I mean? That are on the market. Now, listen, trades really don't happen in the NFL.
What up, Wills?
Right? So if you make one, you're like, okay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You really got to look at one position, and that's why I'll stick to the linebacker position because it's the one position that I know for a fact, sitting on my couch without watching any tape ever, that position has killed this football team. Mm-hmm. And I can say it easy. I can say it with like no hesitation whatsoever. A linebacker position is a big part of why this defense is giving up 28 points a game.
And Tom, going back to what you just said, right? How much of those positions did we scream about all offseason about addressing and about knowing that this team was going after this year was so strapped with cash that you might as well have gone all in this year because you knew potentially you were blowing everything up after this. And it's no shock that all these positions are coming back again as needs because they always were.
Yep. Especially declaring ones, especially running back and linebacker.
The depth at running back and then just pure linebacker. Absolutely.
They're the ones we were yelling about. The other ones were like, okay, we felt better at the corner position.
Yep.
We felt better at the skill position players on the outside. At least we felt better about it. And now we're at where we're at now, where I mean, we feel okay about it out there because Fulgham's really played well. But let me tell you, and I'll get into this in a couple minutes, but I talked about a certain radio host that is going to get smoked here in a few minutes for his comments on Carson Wentz, because you got to see what this guy's doing with nothing too, man. Like, guys off the street. Like, it's Travis Fulgham. The reason that a practice squad guy like that has worked for Carson is because, one, the guy's hungry, right? So he's hungry. He has the catch radius that Carson loves and every quarterback loves, right? And then, so now he trusts it. He trusts to throw him the football. So it's a combo there. But, it's just you still expect to have more. Like, getting Reagor back will be huge now, right? Yep. So Reagor and Goddard are your two guys that you're like, dude, I need these two guys back, right? Like, now you feel good, right? Do we feel good with Reagor? When we have Reagor, Goddard, and Miles all healthy, I think we can all say we feel good.
Yep.
If Lane's playing too. Like, they're the guys we need. Like, we're not going to get everybody healthy. They're the four guys that we need on the football field at this point. And if Alshon gives you any type of production, it's a win. It's a win. That's all I'm saying. I'm not expecting. I'm just telling you what it would be. It'd just be a win for you, right? Because they're the guys you need to be healthy. You can't rely on other guys to be healthy.
But Fulgham, even last night, coming off the street, showed why he was on the street for a little bit. I mean, he dropped a ball that literally went through his hands in the end zone.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to kill the guy, but, like, that's why, you want a body of work from some of these guys that come off the street. You don't want to start crowning and blowing guys just because they have a couple good games. Now, I'm not saying he had a bad game, but that was a huge ball. It literally dropped right in his hands, and he just dropped it.
Mm-hmm. I will say, too, because I know a lot of people in the comments have been asking about, like, wide receivers, where could we get a wide receiver? I look at teams, obviously. I think the most likely, teams to kind of target is Houston. I would say Jacksonville because of the DJ Chark thing that I keep bringing up. Mm-hmm. And I'll go Cincinnati because
talk that into existence, aren't you?
Well, eventually Howie might actually do his job and listen to this, and then maybe we'll actually, Carson will get some help for a couple weeks.
And I'm not hating on it. I mean, it's a good idea.
Listen, Howie, let us help you.
Steelers fan, I do like Avery Williamson. He was a name I heard early in the year, before in the offseason, as a potential trade piece, or they were talking about potentially releasing him.
How about you call the Jets for Jamison Crowder and Avery Williamson?
I literally, what's funny? I was just gonna bring that up now. And here's the thing too. I was looking at Jamison Crowder's contract because,
by the way, Jamison Crowder just catches balls.
Yes, did it in Washington?
Yep, just catches balls. Not great, just solid.
Yep.
So he signed a 3-year extension in 2019, but there's like a potential. And Greg, if you want to pull up the exact details, I believe there's a potential out after this season.
There's an out in Jake Elliott's deal too.
Yeah, there is.
After the 2022 year, though.
Oh, great. But I
go
agree.
ahead,
Jameson Crowder makes a lot of sense. Obviously, the Texans came out and they said that literally all of their wide receivers are going to be available. But like, I get it. Like, are guys like Fuller, and Stills and Randall Cobb, are they better than some of the guys we have? Yes, no question.
Yep.
But I don't know if that does anything. Like, are we partying if
they're
we
not
do
going to go that route. They won't go that.
And I don't think they will either, to be honest. But like,
I really think they go for a linebacker. I really think they're going to go after a linebacker.
I hope so.
I'd be in on Fuller, but I think Fuller and Rieger. I'm not saying Rieger is Fuller, but I think they play a similar game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. To where they're down the field guys.
I guess the devil's advocate to that is Deshaun and Rieger play the same game, and now Deshaun's out to where Fuller would kind of assume that role. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I'll say to that though is it's like if you look at like what's out there now and what you have, we probably won't go that direction because we expect to have like most of our guys out there soon at the wide receiver position. So I can see them not going that position, but I'll keep circling back. I could easily see them, and it might not be the greatest thing of all time, but I could see them going out and bringing in like at least a competitive linebacker. At least a guy we're like, okay, yeah, I mean he can play a little bit. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of move I see. Like Avery Williamson's a good example of that. Like he's not a Pro Bowler, but it's like okay. I mean he's a competent linebacker in this league, and maybe with some upside. You know what I mean?
Dumb question. What defense does the Texans play? 3-4 or 4-3?
I think it's a 3-4.
They're 3-4.
Damn. Never mind. Disregard. Continue.
Crowder's making $10 million in 2021.
Oh wow.
He's at a buyout after 21, but he's making $10 million.
Yeah, so that's done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Howie, Mr. Money Guy.
Williamson's still there. You call the Jets, you call the Vikings, right? You call the teams that are in trouble.
Yep.
The teams are in trouble that you're like, okay.
Call yourself.
You guys looking to move a linebacker? It isn't hard.
Avery Williamson's a free agent after this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's 28 years old. He's only making 2.75.
Okay.
But it's a expiring contract.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that we're going to have to kind of go after.
Yeah, and that's the only thing the Jets are going to give you for picks is expiring deals.
Yep.
Like, you can give them like a friggin' 6th, 7th round pick for them. They're not going to give them anything crazy. You know what I'm saying?
He comes out of the linebacker factory in Kentucky.
Great. Another
Will Fuller is also a free just for the name. He's a free agent after this year. So it might be a potential. He's making $10 million this year, but
you're not
again,
fleecing them anymore.
What's that?
You're not fleecing them anymore with no Billy.
No, you're not. Hey, we'll give you a third for Will Fuller. Done.
Right.
Now, other than obviously, because like you said, wide receiver, we have a lot of guys coming back. Running back now, except for Jordan Howard, are there, and Fam, chime in as well if you want. Is there a name out there on a struggling team that A, you would want Howie to, go out and target, and B, do you think it's something realistic? Is there a name out there? Because I'm looking at like Denver, because I know I'm looking at their depth chart and like their number 3 running back is Royce Freeman. Now, does Royce Freeman do anything for me? No, but is Royce Freeman better than Corey Clement? I don't know, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Those are the kind of guys I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, Royce Freeman's better than Corey Clement because it's not hard to be better than Corey Clement. Yes.
Bingo.
Do you bring in the old man Frank Gore? Maybe.
We tried that once.
Yeah, true. Good point.
Had a great year though.
Yeah. He did.
Guy lost out on a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert. Didn't he just sign like an extension?
Yeah, he did.
No,
I thought he
tried to.
Oh, right.
Remember, I don't think he ever did.
Let me see.
I could have sworn they did. I know he tried requesting a trade, and then people were like, "Dude, Kyle Shanahan literally is your guy. Like he is your career. Well, I don't know why you would." DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I love DeAndre Swift. What do you want? You want a first for him?
Yeah, I'll do that in 2
I
seconds.
wanted to draft him.
Want a first for him? We'll get you a first for him.
Oh, hello, Frank.
Hello, Frank.
I was like, what's going on?
Oh,
Hello.
Frank. Yeah, it's
Hello.
3. It's 3
You
years.
thought I was
8.
going to say go Birds, didn't you?
I wasn't sure what you were going to do.
It's 3 years, 8.7 for Mostert. That's what he has right now.
Nope.
Yeah, it ends after 21. So he's making 2.5 next year.
Yep.
Nope.
I love DeAndre Swift though. Like, listen, I'll give you a first next year. I'll give you my first away. You can have it. You can have it. That's how much I love DeAndre Swift. He's the first round talent anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Then you're gonna have the debate of people being like, "Oh, does that mean the Eagles are out on Miles Sanders?"
No, you keep them both together.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying
Yeah.
you're gonna have idiots out there. They're gonna be like, "Oh, well,
But
why
see,
bring it up
those,
when we have our feature?"
those idiots will always be out there. So I like
That's
it.
true too. That's true.
I'd rather our team be.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to draft him when he was there. I'm like, do we trade back and draft Swift?
Listen, Jake.
bring it back. I would have taken him right where we had him.
I would have taken him at
Yeah.
21 too. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. No, I mean Jake. I mean the Howie Roseman didn't scoff at the idea to bring in another quarterback. To when all the idiots are like, oh well, we already have a quarterback. What does that mean for the quarterback? So
Yeah.
if he's not going to scoff at the idea for that, but he's going to scoff at the idea for a running back, that
Right.
I love Miles, but he's always hurt. Then you're really bad at your job. Then you're really bad.
Frank,
I have DeAndre Hopkins, but
join us. I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
So, to our poll, the Philadelphia Eagles shouldn't be happy with the win against the Giants. Agree or disagree?
Man, I mean, I was happy with the win, but I'm not 100% happy with the win. I mean, you left, I don't know, how many points off the board? You have the Carson Wentz interception. You have the missed field goal from Jake Elliott. Was it 17 points taken away from the board? This should have been an easy win for us. But instead, we got a Thursday night miracle. But with that, I mean, I'm glad we got the win, but you should not win like that, especially in the crunch time of the game.
Well, yeah, crunch time in the game, they were lights out. I mean, listen.
Yeah, they were lights out. Perfect. Yeah, they were great. I wanted to see them do that all 4 quarters of the game, but there was this period for at least 2 quarters where they flat out stunk. Just
Yeah, I mean, listen, because you leave. Listen, you're right. You leave points off the board. You get yourself in a dogfight. You make a team feel like they belong in the
Exactly.
football game with you, and then you get that kind of game.
exactly.
But the way it ended is what jacks me up.
Exactly.
Because now I'm like, okay, in the guts of the game, we played our best football.
Absolutely.
Outside of a 97-yard drive, that's unfucking acceptable. Okay,
Right.
that horse shit. Everything else. We got off the field at the end of the game too, defensively. Outside of that drive,
Exactly.
you have to get off the field. Now, granted, Evan Ingram helped us, but if you also remember, we didn't get help with calls down there. Most teams get the PI call on that 4th and goal play because the receiver actually fights for the damn football.
Right.
Team Butler, that's why you don't crown guys.
Exactly.
Guys making posts about Akeem Butler. Like, oh, Akeem Butler's active. That's great news. That's news. And you know why that's not news? Because you're 6'20", and it's not even a size, and you still can't catch it.
Yeah.
Catch the football, dude. Fight for the football. Like, I'm 6'1".
Exactly.
I'm going at it. And I probably miss it at the professional level. You know what I mean? But go at the football, dude.
Go after it.
That's actually a good ball.
Mhm.
It wasn't a bad ball. I hate the play
Yeah.
call. I despise
But
the play.
it was there.
But it was there. It was 1-on-1 with a bigger target.
Right. And I was there in person. I was up in the club level, and I knew there was no effort in that play.
Did you play linebacker?
I wish I could.
Well, so I might wish that too.
We could all have invincible auditions and all try on as linebackers.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. Nathan Gary played the best game of his career last night, and that's not saying much.
And that's not saying much, but he had his moments. He played to fight for a spot on this roster, even though he's not one of the best linebackers in the league. He's fighting for his job out there.
Mhm.
Let's go on a different kick because there are a lot of families coming in with some great names. And I really like what Kavika says. If we can finesse a team for their linebacker, then we could Deion Jones, Avery Williams, and Eric Kendricks, maybe Miles Jack. All great names.
Yes.
Yeah,
I take them all.
Yeah.
Redo the whole linebacking core with that group.
And Mark's really optimistic. Calling 11-4-1. I would like. If you went out,
I love the optimism. Whatever you got, can you pass that over, please?
If that's the case, then we're trading for Julio Jones, Devontae Freeman, Kerryon Johnson. I mean, we're just trading. We're trading for everybody. We're doing like an NBA trade.
yeah, right. And we're doing what Tampa's doing. If they got Deion Jones or Deion Jones, Eric Kendricks, or Miles Jack, it automatically takes this defense up to a top 10 defense in football. Yep. Automatically, if you went and made an addition like that on defense. That's how much better they would be. Now, does that make them 11-4-1? Absolutely not. But does it really strong arm them this shit division? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Now,
Miles Jack's making a whole lot of money.
Yeah,
he is.
So I love the name, but and which is a reason why you might be able to get him from Jacksonville. But I don't know if we're in a spot to be able to take on all that money.
As of right now, we're not in the position to get.
Unless we just play that flip game, right? We take him for this year in the offseason. Now we try and flip back, kind of like what Minnesota did with Yannick.
Yeah.
Anthony, I'll say this: no, because they're not going to deal him.
That's a lot of money too.
They're trying to win it. They're trying to win football games, so I don't think they're in the business of dealing them. Says Philly 500 has beef with Nathan Gary. We all do. He wasn't impressed when Nate Gary made a sack last night. I mean, there's nothing to be impressed about. You went after the quarterback, made a tackle. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, I'm not impressed by you. I agree with Philly 500 there. You know what I mean? I don't know what Philly 500 real name is. I don't know who he is, but I'll agree with him. I know on the YouTube side, I'm probably supposed to know who that is. I've heard of him, but regardless, I'll agree with him on that. I mean, I'm not impressed. You know, I'm impressed that we got a sack, so I'm excited. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'll clap my hands.
I'll give you guys another name, running back wise. He's only getting paid like a couple million next year, I believe. Giovanni Bernard.
No,
barely gets.
No, it's kind of to me. Boston Scott's that. I mean, sure, Gio's more of a veteran. You know what I mean, and is more of a track record.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we have that guy on the roster already.
Okay,
that's just to me.
All right.
Yeah, I agree when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Now, name you said earlier, Kerryon Johnson. I'm in on that. He can't stay healthy though, but I'd be in.
He'll fit perfectly. He'll fit right in. I mean,
which is why we probably want to.
Yeah. Let's see. Justin Moore says, "Does anyone believe that Zach Ertz should be involved in?" Well, not now because he's on
now.
He can't.
He would have been. We would have traded him, but
that they were talking about moving him.
And Alshon.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them.
Yeah, that one I don't see how they move, but I hear you. I guess unless it's in the same deal and you get a team that really wants Zach Ertz that bad,
right?
Yeah,
willing to pay the money. You know,
well, I almost look at the Packers, for example, because there's been reports coming out that like they're really desperate for more receiving options. Maybe
you should have drafted Jordan Love in the first round.
See, that's exactly it. Where my first thought is, well, it's interesting you're desperate now, but on draft night you tried to get a quarterback and then another running back that you're really not going to have to use for a couple of years, but that's beside the point. So I almost wonder, like, are you so desperate to where you go after Zach Ertz and Alshon? Like, how desperate are you? Because who's their tight end right now?
Their tight end right now, Mercedes Lewis.
Richard.
No.
Yeah, Richard.
Yeah, right. It's some
Mercedes Lewis.
Yeah, it's Mercedes.
Okay.
Mercedes Lewis, and then further down you got Jace Sternberger.
Sounds like a winner.
Robert Tonyan Jr.
That's who I was thinking of, Robert Tonyan. He's been hot the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He worked out with George Kittle over the offseason.
Well, there you go. Hey, Zach, maybe you should start working out with Kittle. Instead of trying to, get paid like Kittle. Maybe you should start trying to work like Kittle.
As Wentz is going to have an extended week to prepare, he's going to ball out. Listen, I agree with you. I think we beat the Cowboys. We'll get there next week when we really get into that game. But let's see how they play. Let's see how the Cowboys play this weekend. and then we'll be able to dive into Sunday's game a little better. But yes, we are a better football team than Dallas Cowboys, even with our injuries, because they're banged the hell up too.
Well,
So,
that you have a lot of internal issues too with players talking about coaches and that whole thing. So usually, when you hear about that, you're done.
Yeah,
you're right, Jake. But now, guess what? If you're right. The 2 points, right? They come out and they lose Sunday, it really becomes a dumpster fire.
Yep.
If they come out and win, some of that stuff's going to go away. So you really hope they come out and lose for more reasons than just hating the Cowboys, just loving the Cowboys losing. You know what I mean? Final Score podcast. Could you imagine if Howie wanted Darren Sproles to come back?
Oh, jeez.
You would. Don't you talk that into existence?
Yeah.
Eric Walters, we need some O-line help. Yep, we talked about that. Yep. We really just need a healthy Lane, and I think we'd be a lot better than we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lane will go a long way just in establishing some kind of a rhythm up there. So
at this point, I'll take a freaking healthy Jack Driscoll, because even when we saw Driscoll in there, he's not Lane Johnson, but he was doing a serviceable enough job. You know what I mean? Like, and again, credit, honestly, while this entire season, we've been really ripping on pretty much the entire coaching staff. The one coach / coordinator that really deserves a lot of credit is Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach.
Phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's turning guys that shouldn't even be on an NFL roster into guys that are serviceable at least. Now, Jamon Brown, I mean, he sucked. He sacked his own quarterback. So, he's kind of the outlier.
Right.
But, Nate Herbig, not great, but he's done his job very well.
Yep.
Jack Driscoll, rookie, was never supposed to play this year. Not great, but has done his job well. Jordan Mailata never played football before. Up until this week, he really struggled last night, but up until that, up against two top defenses and the 49ers, played really well. He plays really well.
And another coach deserves credit is Jason Avant with the wide receivers. I mean,
that's true.
You get these guys that you get thrown in the mix, and that's why when I say don't crush Doug too much about play calling, even though there's some play calls I scratch my head with, is because of what he's dealt with too. That makes your play calling harder in a way, right? Like all the offensive linemen, all the different moving parts again. It makes everything harder on you. And to still be able to come out of that game with a win, is a testament to this quarterback and this head coach and the resiliency that this whole group has of these veterans, because they've been doing this kind of shit for a few years now, and it's been a trend of that resiliency, right? Of that, like, oh man, they're out of this one. And then, to win a game like that, and this team, to win a game like that can make them win another 2 in a row. You know what I mean? It could, because that's the kind of team they are. They really needed this one. Not just because they've been playing bad. You just need this win, because now you feel better about yourselves, right? Like, we feel better as a fan base, even though we understand there's things you can look back on and not be, extremely happy with. But if we're realistic, we should be extremely happy with what we ended up with. The end result was last night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really all that matters. And because of a crucified quarterback in this city too. And if you add that on top of it, it makes the win even better.
Don, I don't think there's a chance in how they do it, but if we can get Alexander Madison, I mean, that's the move. I love Alexander Madison.
So do I.
Runs hard too, so I'm good with that. Because at least every time I watch him, he's running hard.
Yeah.
Oh.
They probably wouldn't do it, but Jamal Williams from Green Bay though too, because they drafted Dylan.
Yep.
I doubt they do it.
Free agent at the end of the year too.
But he's free agent at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted Dylan obviously for a reason, but I don't know why, if you're Green Bay, that you would break up that running back group. They're playing too well, together with Aaron Jones. But what I think going to, Tom, what you were saying about the offensive line and Ryan about Jeff Stoutland and all that, I think what'll be nice, and again, I don't mean nice in a good way, because obviously Lane Johnson makes this team that much better. But now Lane being out and knowing he's out for a while, these guys get those reps. You know what I mean? Like, I love Lane. I love what he said this week, but you kind of knew this was going to happen. And it's almost like, Lane, I love you. And he probably didn't practice, so he didn't take that many snaps away. But it's almost like that if you can't last the full game, let's get the guy in there that can play at least the whole game, or in theory play the whole game, because we know how that injury bug is, just so they can get those snaps at practice and get that continuity with everybody, so we're not playing those musical chairs. So we get that a little bit now, because now, unfortunately, Lane's hurt again, but there's a drastic improvement with Lane versus without Lane.
No, of course. Absolutely. And listen, you just got to hope that the one thing, like we've been critical of Howie Roseman, and rightfully so. But the one thing he's always done a pretty good job with on draft night was assessing the line, right? He's usually pretty good when he's drafting those type of positions. And this draft looks like, and even going back a little bit, it looks like he's done a decent job late round picks to be able to at least get guys that are serviceable, maybe backups right now, at most, and then maybe be able to develop them into being guys that can start in this league, or you just know, hey, I got a Dango backup here for 4 or 5 years that can step in and play, right? So that's what I will give him some credit for. But yeah, you're right. Jeff Stoutland deserves a ton of credit for years now on what he's done with his offensive line.
And that's the one good thing about most of these coaching staffs we've had over the last 15, 20 years is, Andy had Juan Castillo, and he was a staple of that offensive line and that group, right? And then you have obviously Stoutland here with Doug, and he's been a staple of that offensive line. So we've had a good pedigree of offensive line coaches that have really helped, especially more recently with a revolving door around that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you're right.
It just scratches your head when you make Juan Castillo a defensive coordinator then.
Scratch a lot of heads. So, listen, earlier today, Joe DeCamera, who seems to become more and more of a jackass or just have an agenda. I don't know which one it is, but I want everybody's thoughts on this. He called Carson Wentz the most inconsistent athlete of all time. And he even went on to say over the last 2,000 years, and even went into Roman athletes. And my thoughts, it's the coldest take in 2,000 years. You want to say he's inconsistent at times, fine. Be my guest. But I'll continue to say that Richard Rodgers wasn't on a team 2 months ago, and he makes him look a lot better, right? Travis Fulgham wasn't on a team 2 months ago. He makes him look good, doesn't he? Greg Ward wasn't even a wide receiver, and he makes him look good, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to continue to circle around on guys he makes look good, and understand that when there's a revolving offensive line and no quarterback's been hit more, and you want to talk to me about inconsistent, that's just a jackass statement. This statement doesn't have any bearings besides an agenda. So my question to you would be, what is your agenda? You can be critical of him. You can be critical of turnovers. You can be critical of all them things. But to say the most inconsistent athlete of all time is the biggest reach in radio I've ever witnessed. Like the biggest reach. If you want to say he's inconsistent at times, be my guest. Be my guest, but have a basis behind it and explain to people why you think he is inconsistent at times, which I would tell people is because of the revolving doors all over the place on offense. Mm-hmm. But people will say that's an excuse, or I'll tell them that's reality in the National Football League. To his comments, I just don't understand the direction behind it. And anybody that calls himself the Hammer, I have trouble. I have trouble buying into your words now. Yeah,
he's probably talking about them toy hammers with the little squeaker at the end.
Probably, Frank. Probably. And when I say everything here at HUD Radio, I mean with all due respect. Okay, with everything that I always say, with all due respect to everybody. I know people are real sensitive out there. It's a sensitive time. That's the dumbest statement of all time. Okay? Like I thought, that's the dumbest statement in 2,000 years. There's been a lot of dumb statements in 2,000 years since you want to go back to Roman times. Then let's go back. Let's circle back. We're going to circle back. There was probably a guy who covered some kind of crazy shit, right, in the Coliseum back in the day that has some freaking stories to tell us, right? Probably written down somewhere of some crazy-ass shit. And there's probably some dumbass people reporting on it. and I'm sure with a lack of education like we do today, there was dumber that your comment still trumps everyone, from 2,000 years ago. The most inconsistent athlete of all time. Do you watch any other?
He's not even the most inconsistent athlete in the city.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at my basketball team for inconsistency. Right? I can look at a lot of places for inconsistency. I can look
across.
I can look at. Hold on. I can look at everybody's golden boy. I can look at Bryce Harper.
I was going right there myself, and that's my kid.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even call him the most inconsistent athlete of all time. That's an egregious statement. That's egregious. And the fact that you let people like that have jobs is all I need to know anymore. That's all I need to know. And this is why we'll dominate any of them. Because it's absurd. It's like, oh, I want to reach so bad that you can pull this clip and then I look cool. Or people can attack me and it drives engagement. This is what I do to your engagement. I am always, you know what I mean? It's like a freaking clowns. And a guy I've listened to in the past, right? Well, when guys make statements like that, you're clickbait. You're a clickbait jackass. Like, do you think about that before a show? Like, do you write that down in your notepad? I know people got a lot of notes written down. Do you write that down that I'm gonna make the worst statement of all time? I'm gonna say Carson Wentz is the most inconsistent quarterback of all time. That's it. And you wrote it down and you ran that by people, like in-house. Like, yo, look at this one, guys. There's you getting coffee. You see this? They're not gonna say that. You know what I mean? Like freaking Dork City. Like, oh, that's funny. That's gonna get people talking. Oh my God. And if you agree with it out there, we're selling clues here. A lot of them.
Yeah, all it is he's looking for a headline. That's all. That's all terrestrial radio is now. It's looking for a headline. It's the lazy take. It's, oh, how can I offend Twitter today? So people think, hey, wait. It's like this is how people get attention now. They say something stupid. Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Visual reference, visual learner. That's very good. We have options for people here. It's like they promote themselves not being like smart or real. They're like, hey, what stupid thing can I say today that'll get attention, that'll get ratioed? People will click the headline and be like, who is this? And maybe, just maybe, they'll scroll my timeline and think, he's not the biggest idiot on Twitter today. Follow. That's literally how they do it now. And it's just great.
Call it 5350 with tax.
Yeah. Shipping.
Just going to help you all out.
Yeah,
5350 with tax.
Help us help you. Help us help you.
Yep, the clue. That's all.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Tom, you're absolutely right. If you want to say he's inconsistent this year, was inconsistent last year, absolutely. You have basis. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a cold take. Of all time, of ever, of all century, of all AD, you know what I mean? Like there's you could go across the street. We just watched Reese Hoskins for 3 years. We watch Bryce Harper every year, and I love Bryce, but there's no one that goes through colder spells at times than Bryce Harper.
I'll go one further.
I mean, we had Odubel Herrera here for years.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go one further for our hockey junkies. Have we heard of Claude Giroux in the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, excuse me. Like, but
Who?
Who?
Yeah, who?
It's the playoffs. I don't know where he is.
Oh, fair point. That's right. I forgot. He's not inconsistent. He's just invisible.
Not there.
Bradley Chubb. I'm looking, Bill.
And like I said, like, did he play perfect? No. But like, you just had a quarterback in the guts of the game play his best football, throw an absolute dime to the tiniest guy on the field, which makes that throw even harder. I hope everybody understands how to play. I don't think the hammer understands the quarterback position. So I'm going to explain it to you. When you got a really tiny guy and you're going in a short window, that's what we call a flat out fucking dime. Okay? That's what that's called. All right? And if you didn't know football, I mean, we're here to help you. And that's what that's called. So you talk about all them things done down the stretch. And that's after Jason Kelce got a 15-yard hands to the face penalty.
I think he did it on purpose.
And you throw that dime. So
I ain't gonna lie. I think he did it on purpose. Kelce. Yeah, I think Kelce realized that we were struggling too deep. Like, we were too close. We were too congested. We needed a little bit more space.
We need more space to work.
I would say, you didn't say right after the play to Boston Scott, you bailed me the hell out.
He was literally yelling, thank you.
Bill, Bradley Chubb's actually cheap as shit.
Yeah, it's still the rookie deal.
It's still his rookie year, $9,200 or $92,000. No.
92,000. Whoa.
920,000.
Oh, God, bring him in.
Wow, that's cheap.
He's on his rookie deal. All his money's tied up in bonuses and stuff. I mean, his cap hit's $9 million, but his actual salary, and he's a free agent after this year.
I'll take him.
Yeah, man. But that's the whole statement. Back
24 years old. 24 years old.
Is it come out with anything negative real quick? To come out with anything negative after what you watched in the guts of the game last night is it's radical. You know what I mean? It's outlandish. It's so many different words I could use for it right now that I'm not even going to get into anymore.
But un-American. It's un-American.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. It's like you don't even understand sports then. You don't understand when the pressure gets tight and certain guys raise their level of play. Then you don't understand. You don't understand what you want out of your athletes. That's all. You don't understand what you want. But if that's the biggest, if what I watched last night was the most inconsistent athlete before the Roman century, before the Romans, then I'm misguided. Then I'll stop watching fucking sports. Shit. Freaking clowns. I would love to debate these guys. Like when they say I would like be a freaking, you know, I'm something like I'm like a squirrel chewing through your fucking siding to get in after you. Like, that's how much I want to be a part of you right now. Right?
You're gonna be the cricket in their studio?
Yeah.
Hey Frank, can you put Tom's face on a squirrel, please? I need that to be a meme.
Sure.
Right the hell through it. Because the guys that do, you know, that they're in the press conferences, they're soft as shit too. But like where's somebody on air to crush that? Like if I'm the producer, I'm gonna be like, hold on, can I get 5?
That's what I love. Like not just with that like type of statement, but like, you know, shows and stuff like that. Like these ideas go through like 7 levels of approval, and everyone says, "Yeah, it's a good idea, good idea, good idea. Yeah, let's say that," and then it still comes out. See, Lord, thanks for chiming in, bud.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, like how does that get approved?
I just don't understand it.
Tom, I did find one thing, because when I went back and watched the game after we got off the air, I did hear this one thing, because obviously when we, you know, you, Chrome, and I, we were watching the game, we had the TVs muted. And I think I might have found something that was said last night that might anger you more than the Hammer's comments. And it was when McCarthy on the broadcast was talking about a conversation he had with Doug Peterson earlier in the week.
Oh, yep.
And what Doug Peterson said, that he's given serious thought to having these things called Jalen Hurts drives, to where they just, at parts of the game, they just give Jalen Hurts the entire drive.
Yep.
So not only are we taking the ball out of the quarterback's hands in 2-point conversions and the red zones or just no plays, there is serious discussion in the building about taking the ball out of his hands for an entire drive.
Aikman said that, right?
It was either Aikman or McCarthy. It was one.
I think it was Aikman.
Okay. Tom, thoughts?
Okay, I'm not going to be mad like you think I am. If you like, it doesn't get under my skin. I mean, you drafted a guy in the 2nd round because he has a skill set, right? At least they think he does, and I think he does in terms of being able to run around with the football, right? That's all I mean by skill set, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of running around with the football. So what I'll say to it is, and I know Sleeps has talked about this in the past. Why is the quarterback position any different? If a guy's struggling for a drive or two, and you want to change things up, and it's still his job, and you put another guy in for some spark for a drive, fine, and you can have your job right back. You know what I mean? You can have your job right back. It's not like a personal thing. It's just like, hey, you know what? Why did it become like this for quarterbacks, right? And I sort of agree with him when you have 2 different style of quarterbacks. So because you have 2 different styles, I'll buy into it. I would never buy into it with the same style guy, right? The other guy had to have the skill set that's much different, and it would be like, okay, he's little and he's elusive, right? So you would hope that maybe, you know, guys will start biting up on the RPOs, and next thing you know, he rips one for 40 because somebody's wide open, right? So, like, yes, I'm trying to win football games. So can he help me win a football game here or there down the stretch? Maybe a big play out of him can win us a football game or help be a part of it. So I'm not going to poo-poo anything anymore. Like if we were averaging 30 points a game, I would poo-poo the world. But you know what I mean? I poo-poo. Knock it off. Like, knock it off. Like, no, Carson's my franchise quarterback. But I also draft a guy with a different skill set. So if I can play to it and my quarterback understands it, and because I'm just trying to do different things, then why not? Make defenses have to think.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you. I think it's better to do a series than to do one random play with Carson out wide, where essentially you're going 10 on 11. You know what I mean?
Carson off the field. It's like, let him, or if you want to bring Jalen on and have Carson do that one time, and then Jalen runs the offense for that drive, and if they go 3 and out, they go 3 and out.
Right.
11's right back out there. If they go on a great drive, you put Carson out the next drive on purpose, right? But it's not like a controversy. It's more like understand that when he comes in the game, defenses have to be prepared for 3 different things. And that's where you can become – that's where your role could look so much better in small spurts than throughout a course of 4 quarters, right? So if he has 2 drives a game, that creates an issue for a defense automatically. I don't know.
And then they have to think about when he comes on the field with Carson then too.
Yeah.
Because now it's not one-dimensional, right? Right now you know he's running the ball because he's only thrown once or maybe twice, right? So you know every time he's in the game, if he's in shotgun, he's more than likely running the ball or handing it off in the RPO.
Right.
So now if you bring him in, they're thinking about that. And then if you bring him in for his own series, now when you bring him in with Carson, you've shown that he can run the offense as constructed, right? And around him. So maybe now when he comes in with Carson on the field, kind of like, I know I hate to bring it up, but kind of like what New Orleans does with Taysom Hill, the offense doesn't necessarily stop or change because Jalen's already involved.
Yeah, and like I said, I just don't like if Carson's in cruise control and having a money game throughout the whole game, then you're like, okay, I'm not going to do that today.
Right.
But if you go through some 3 and outs and you're like, all right, let's just spice it up for a drive. That's all. Yeah. That's how you look at it. So no, I can't be like poo-poo it. No.
You guys, I'm not going to say I fully agree, but you guys make me feel a little bit better about it. I guess the 2 reasons why when I heard it, wanted to.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
I'm surprised I make anybody feel better about anything.
to be honest, the only reason why I brought it up is because I thought you were gonna go like crazy, but like with the hammer, and then go like really crazy like that. So like I'm beyond shocked that you don't have an issue with. And listen, I understand now why you don't have an issue with it.
Marathon, right? I feel like I've been on for 72 straight hours. So
fair.
So, I left it all out on the field for the hammer.
I was almost expecting like a brace for impact, like let the pigeon, let the dogs loose, let everyone go flying. When I said that, I guess the 2 reasons that I wanted, like when I initially heard it, I wanted to throw my remote through the screen, is for number one, you kind of touched on it, Tom. It's because the visualization or the scenario of Carson Wentz having a really good game, but them kind of doing Howie upstairs said that we have to have at least 2 Jalen Hurts drives. So here comes that. And then it ruins any continuity.
Yeah, it kills the flow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like because Howie Roseman, given the reports and what we know, that a lot of this has to do, in my opinion, of Howie saying, let's give him drives to really justify, obviously, the 2nd round pick value, to where I could see Howie coming in the headset. Doug, it's time for you. Why haven't you gone to Jalen Hurts? Well, Howie, Carson has 3 touchdowns and 300 yards and a half. Doug, you have to put up Jalen Hurts. Like, no, if it's working, you don't have to do that.
Right.
And the other thing where I thought it was strange that they're being, this is a discussion, is this: when you actually do see Jalen Hurts in the small sample sizes, they're not letting him throw the football.
Yep.
Like you got to, and we know he can throw the football because the one pass that he threw, it was it was a seed.
Yeah.
So we know he can throw the football.
Well,
Go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry.
I think to your point, right? I think once you saw that literal P that he threw to Richard Rodgers in the Steelers game, I think they're kind of like, whoa, hold on, because if you start having him throw the ball more consistently and he starts making plays that way, I think you might see not necessarily dissension in the ranks, but you might start seeing players being like, especially if we consistently lose, you might start seeing players being like,
and see,
look at that.
And Jake, I don't disagree with you because I could see that being their mindset. So I'm not crushing you with this. But if that's their mindset, then it's freaking idiotic. Because if you're worried about dissension, you don't pick a guy in the 53rd overall, 52nd overall pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, you set up dissension 6 months before you even played a football game.
And I'll say this, right? Like, when you're struggling running the football, then why not try him out for a drive?
Yeah. I do agree with that.
It can open some things up, you know, and it can get you running the ball maybe a little bit better too. So
absolutely.
So that's why I was caught off guard by it, because like, okay, you haven't really shown him or given him the opportunity to throw the ball and really show a full sample size. It's like, here, either hand the ball off to Boston Scott or stand here where or keep it, correct, Frank, or stand here where Deshaun Jackson or Alshon Jeffrey would be standing if they weren't injured all over their body, and just stand there and just chill. Other than that, it's kind of like, you're not letting him, you drafted him to be a quarterback, you're not letting him be a quarterback, but Howie Roseman's talking about letting him go throughout entire drives. But you guys breaking it down like that, it adds another level. It adds anything to what we've seen, which is a vanilla, predictable defense, or I'm sorry, offense. Also, our defense is pretty predictable too, but that's a different conversation. So I like it in that aspect. It was just strange to hear, like, oh, Jalen Hurts drives when we see him like twice a game and we barely use him.
Yeah.
Mark, have a good night, bud. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Well, I think the big thing is, too, the issue that I have going back to Doug Peterson, his terrible play calling. He said earlier in the week he wanted to utilize Jalen Hurts more. But again, when you're just using him for read options or run plays, it's pretty much predictable.
Yeah.
Oh, Jalen Hurts is on the field. I wonder what's going to happen. Oh, he ran it. Oh, read option. Got stuffed. Like, be creative. Like, the kid can play.
Right.
You just have to use him around the field, whether you put him at receiver or whatever. I know he said he's a quarterback, but at the end of the day, you got to get creative. It's quite simple.
And of course, they marketed this. They marketed Jalen Hurts as Taysom Hill on steroids. Let's see Taysom Hill on steroids that you marketed.
Christ.
Joseph asks a really good question. He says, what do you all think about Dolphins benching Fitzpatrick? Feel bad for the guy. He was below average, team at 3-3 after smoking San Francisco and beating another team last week.
Welcome to the National Football League when you're when you're turnstile quarterback. Like, and it's not a shot at Fitzy because Fitzy can play, but he's older. Like, they drafted him for a reason, and it is what it is. And I think there's a guy who can handle it. It's absolutely Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I don't think he really, as a competitor who wants to play, I'm sure it bothers him. But as a good man, I think he's all right with it.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he's cheering on the sideline, though, if he knows that was the last pass he's going to throw in the year. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think they did him dirty, but I completely understand, right? I just think that you had a competitive football team. They were, in the top half of the division. They were playing well, gaining some momentum, and then you kind of like pulled the rug underneath them. If they're like 1-4, you know what I mean, or I guess 1-5.
Yeah,
the organization probably did it on purpose because we're playing too good right now.
We're playing too good. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
We weren't ready to win this year. We want one more top 10 pick, and then we're going to say, or whatever it is, top 10 pick, and say, all right, now we're ready to go try to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that at all.
And I'm going to say something that I know a lot of people probably won't like, and it's definitely not. It falls in that category too, because when he came out in the press conference and he was saying he was heartbroken, and again, we have this discussion all the time. We get it to where we forget sometimes that these athletes are humans. We get it. I understand that completely. I have nothing against Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't like that he went to the media and said that. I understand we like transparency from our athletes. We want more. I completely understand that. But the entire internet already loves Fitzpatrick. Then you do that. Now you're putting this kid in a box. You're putting this kid in a box to where now people are feeling bad for Fitzpatrick, and now Dolphins fans, and this is not just one sample size, Dolphins fans all over the place are saying, "Oh, forget about Tua. Fitzpatrick put this team on our back or on his back during the dark times." Like it's almost like they're turning on the kid. Like the kid doesn't need any more. I'm not saying the kid deserves no pressure because he was picked fifth or fourth overall. He's a rookie. He's been hyped ever since he debuted, obviously, in the national championship game with Alabama. So there's a magnifying glass on the kid already. But come on, man. Like, I don't love, like, 2 seconds later, you're like, man, it hurt. I felt heartbroken. I thought this was my team. Dude, everyone knew that had a pulse that going into the bye week, which is coincidentally right now, that they're going to give Tua a look because you have the extra week of preparation. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're right. Joe, you don't want to put any more pressure on the kid, 100%.
No.
Joe, well, Devontae Parker's not an older guy. Jordan Howard they signed because they probably didn't think, it was going to make him that much better. They were trying to be competitive, but I don't think they were trying to be that competitive yet. There's a reason why they were going to start Fitzpatrick. Yes, they signed 2 younger guys offensively. I mean, Byron Jones is still a younger guy, and I don't think Van Noy's old, right? So it's not like they, and even if he is, they're trying to probably win next year. So they were probably a year early. That's the only reason they would do this. Come on. I mean, just think about it. I'm telling you what the nerds up top think. Yeah, they might have brought in some guys that make their football team more competitive, but in no way, shape, or form were they trying to be a playoff team.
No, absolutely not.
Jordan Howard's on the block. Why do you think now that two is in? I mean, the writing's on the wall.
29.
29 for Vanoy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Tom. I agree. And
ironically, and to that point, his money jumps next year.
Yeah.
So obviously he's $3 million this year, and next year he's making 12.5. So I mean that kind of, hey, let's see what you look like right now, and then we're gonna really pay you next year, when we hope to be in the middle of potentially an AFC East potential run with the GOAT out of town.
Don, he says, I think the Dolphins put in Tua early because of the way Justin Herbert is playing good early. I mean, it is a copycat league. Mm-hmm. Justin Herbert can play, man. He can play.
He can.
Well, his tools translate. Just like if Tua is healthy, his will too.
Yep. I agree.
Well, and that's a big question mark with Tua.
Hey, go, Jake.
That's a big question mark with Tua too, right? Is his health. So again, I hope he stays healthy, but again, we might be Ryan Fitzpatrick might be biting his tongue because you might see Ryan Fitzpatrick.
You might see him back in 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you guys this too. And granted, Tua's kind of, I mean, his ceiling is way higher than any of these guys. So I'm not comparing it, but I'm comparing situations. I'm comparing, like we always talk about, trends around the league. You're starting to see, I'll give you a handful of names: Josh Rosen, Dwayne Haskins, possibly Daniel Jones. You're going to see it with Sam Darnold. You might see it with Tua if things go awry. When you have such a hyped quarterback class coming up, all right, what are you seeing over the last 3-4 years? A team's willingness to move on from a guy, even if you drafted him in the first round, and moving on. You know what I'm saying? Figure out who he is, not getting rid of him a week or a year early, and moving forward.
Right, I'll go one up on that one in a way.
Okay.
I'll say to the point is we were talking about them trying to win next year, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're not winning next year. What you want to think with a quarterback in his first NFL snaps, so you want to get that out the way too. You want to say, okay, we always talk about if a guy can play, he can play, and you're gonna find out real quick. Justin Herbert, all his shit translates to the NFL. Big, can move around, can throw the ball 1 million yards, right? All them things translate. Tua, not big, but big enough, but can move around well. And can throw on the run and can do them kinds of things. So that's why they're like, all right, we're going to find out who he is too. So it's like a combo. Like, we'll find out if he's not any good.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to find out, hey, are we ready to win next year like we think we are?
And we'll find out if he can stay healthy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're going to try to win this division next year. I bet you their whole thoughts were for next year from the beginning if you're talking about that. So enough with them. But I know Steelers fan asked about what we think about AB going to the Bucs. I mean, goddamn. Listen, I know he's been out of football, man, but if there's a place to go and they'll keep, you would think a guy would be under control would be with Brady.
Yeah.
Brady stole him from Russell Wilson.
I was gonna say Russell Wilson saw him talking, and Tom's like, no, yoink,
Yeah, I'm not going there.
no.
We're gonna fly you in this weekend. Actually, we're gonna get this over with quick.
Chris
And-
Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown,
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette. Oh my
Jeez.
God!
Well, if they don't win, it's
Oh yeah,
going wrong.
and that's how I think it's gonna happen.
I mean, if they go to a Super Bowl, it's still a win for them, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Even if they don't win.
The year of Tampa Bay.
Yep. No.
The year of Tampa Bay.
Could be. Wow. Yeah. I just put two and two together. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lightning won it. Rays are there.
Yeah. 3-3 together. Everybody's going.
Yeah.
And they almost got WrestleMania. And they almost got WrestleMania is going to be there.
And it's going to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Clean sweep.
No, Joe. Then they say, okay, Joe. Then they say, all right, well, you know what? This is their guy. So what? They're not trying to win games with a backup.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? If they're going to win games, then they're going to win it with their franchise quarterback of the future.
They're going to get the experience too.
Like anything they do, it's going to fit into their agenda. I guarantee it. You know what I mean?
Their only task this year was to find out who Tua Tagovailoa was. That's it. It wasn't a win. It wasn't a tank. We already know who Ryan Fitzpatrick is. It was to get him to the bye, get him some more reps, get him comfortable, maybe a little brief appearances like we saw last week. That's their game plan. That was the only plan. And if he stinks, okay, well then they're going to have a top 5 to top 10 pick at worst. You can draft another quarterback. You can trade for another quarterback, and you'll be just fine.
You know who might be out there?
A lot of guys, I don't know.
Oh, no, Dak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're talking like if you got a roster in win now mode and you need a quarterback,
Let's go overpay.
Yeah.
Serious. Again, it's another year where you can look, and there's a slight chance to where next season the other 3 teams in our division could have all different quarterbacks. There's a chance.
Yep.
Sweeps might be on his way to the house to murder me for saying that.
Yeah, right.
For even putting that in the universe, but
Maybe.
Well, okay, guys. So what I wanted to ask you guys, and we got talking. Obviously, it's what we do. Well, what do you have the Eagles' record over the next 3? Which would be Dallas. Now is that at Dallas?
Yes.
no, it's here.
Oh, is it? It is here.
Yep.
All right,
Oh,
home
okay.
against Dallas,
It's on the greatest day in the world.
at New York, at Cleveland.
Dallas bye at New York.
And then Cleveland at home, I think.
Okay.
Cleveland is looks like a road.
Road game.
Looks like a road game. Let me double check on that one.
Right from Jump Street.
Okay.
Without a note.
It's it's a road game.
Okay.
Feels good.
Um,
Look good, feel good, play good. Yeah, go ahead, guys.
I'll say 2-1, just because I just don't see how our defense covers Odell, Jarvis, and I think Nick Chubb will be back by then, and especially with the addition of Kareem Hunt, I just don't see how our defense answers. But I mean, 2-1. That's what I say.
Joseph saying we play Seattle, not Cleveland.
No, it's Cleveland. I'm looking at it.
It's Cleveland.
Seattle's next, though.
Seattle's
Yeah,
next.
We're just doing the next 3. That's all.
I'm also going 2-1 with a loss to Cleveland.
I'm going 2-1. I hope the loss to Cleveland because we can't afford to have another divisional loss. I just think, again, it comes back to just the Eagles being the Eagles, and they're going to lose a game they might be in, and, I'm going 2-1.
Frank?
2-1.
Yep, I'm going to be the outsider. 3-0.
You're going with Billy Boy?
It's
I
realistic.
was also thinking 3-0, but
You know what, though?
again, the issue with Cleveland, though.
But
But
here's the
that's
thing.
There's like 3 picks.
True. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Because Baker Mayfield isn't the most inconsistent athlete since Roman time. So
There you go, Frank.
Well done, Frank.
Yeah, I mean,
Colts,
you're absolutely right. Like Cleveland's had 37 quarterbacks
yeah.
in the last 10 years, and none of them were worse than Carson. Like Jesus.
Right.
So I just think because of the way they finished that game last night, and the fact that now you have 10 days to feel good about yourself, you have that extra time to start feeling good about the guys around you, right? And I think that matters when you talk about any sport, and especially a team like this that usually plays better football in November anyway. So, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the way they finish. I feel like their confidence is probably high now on that finish like that.
Mhm.
And obviously it all starts with the Dallas game, but I could see them literally going and winning 3 in a row. And now they're 5-4-1 and people are fucking running down Broad. You know what I mean? Now people are like, oh my God, look at us. Look at us. Look at us. All the haters are silent. I mean, that's what I truly want. I want them to show that how resilient this group has been and continues to be. That's what I want.
Turner go. Oh no.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
If
That
it's
question
Keenum,
right
it's
there,
definitely
Keenum.
3-0. If
Yeah,
it's
Keenum 3-0, yeah.
because here's the thing too, and Tom, the 3-0 thing is actually very realistic because like Cowboys, we're a better football team than the Cowboys, even though we're not nearly as healthy. We're definitely better than the Giants, as we just saw. That was as bad of a football game we could play in 3 quarters, and we still won. Cleveland, what's been the storyline the last obviously since Baker's been there? It doesn't matter how many weapons they have if the guy has no time. If he has no time, now. I mean, the only reason why I have them losing that game, it's because they have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
And even if they don't have Nick Chubb, you know what's funny? I remember hearing this. Nick Chubb is projected to be back that week. So when you look at our rushing attack or lack thereof rushing attack against Kareem Hunt, like that's worries the hell out of me.
Mhm.
But going back to the trade deadline thing, maybe we can actually get a linebacker or two that's not like horrible.
Mhm.
Yeah. Make up for some of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if we're 2-0 in that stretch going against Cleveland, going to Cleveland, I'm feeling really good about us going there and winning that football game. Even if they're 2-0 in that stretch, I don't care, or 3-0, I don't know when their bye is, but you know what I mean. If they're rolling, I'm still feeling good going there because I feel like we're rolling. Even though, we have to beat the Giants twice, so what? Still got to beat them, So if you can beat the Giants twice, but I just feel like if you win that Cowboys game, it just gets this team really rolling, feeling good about themselves. So we'll see.
Joseph says Rager and Alshon back possibly. Driscoll and right guard with Mulata at right guard with Mulata at right tackle. Lane back at right back healthy at right tackle. Defense played awesome last night outside of 2 plays and that 197-yard drive. Eagles could go on a run. Yeah, I mean it's possible. If we handle our business, we do. Everyone does their job. Yeah. Oh, he meant left tackle from Mulata.
Yeah, and if in the next 10 days Rieger comes back, I think for him against this defense, this is the game where you have to show out.
Mm-hmm.
You have to show you're worth that first-round pick.
Yeah, because everybody else is, Jake.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Like we're all like, oh well, and I'm a big believer in this. Like receivers take time, and well, it seems like that tradition's going away.
Can't make that excuse now. Yeah.
So now I don't have time. So now it's like, well, you better come in and catch 4 balls for 80 yards. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And do that pretty consistent your first year. Bill says 7-8-1 wins the division. Yeah, probably.
I agree with him. I think that's going to be the winning record. Whoever the hell that is, whoever manages to actually get to 7 wins, God bless them. But I don't know who that. I mean, but I think that's going to be it. And yeah, Tom, you're absolutely right. It's again when we talk about trends, it's like, enough. We can't baby the quarterbacks anymore. It's more about finding out who they are now instead of obviously the latter. And then wide receiver, you look everywhere, around the league, and you know who I'm talking about, the Jeffersons, obviously the Claypools, et cetera, et cetera. If Rager, doesn't manage to stay healthy for, the rest of the season when he's back, or 2, he's not a difference maker at all,
right?
You're probably in the same boat next year where you're looking to draft another one, especially with the exit of Alshon and Deshaun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that boat.
Nope.
Ain't trying to get to that boat of missing on more. He's got to be able to play. And I know there's guys out there that'll make excuses for him, but they're going to get none from me. None for me. All right, boys. So coming up on this, coming up on 2 hours. And my last question for you: does this football team make the playoffs?
I think they do.
Go to me last. Go to me last.
Last night, obviously, I mean, whether I was happy or not, they won. You know what I mean? So, and it's a huge division game. What I talked about earlier in the year when we were losing, when we thought we had a good team, and we lost to, not only did we lose to Washington, but we lost to who's the other division or the conference game? Whatever. We lost conference games, and that was going to hurt us if we, had a winning normal record like normal years, and our division wasn't a dumpster fire. Last night obviously puts us in a really good spot division-wise. Dak not being in Dallas helps a lot. I mean, 7 wins, 6 wins, gets into playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they make it. The rest of this division is a dumpster fire. Dak being out, knowing the rest of the Dallas defense. I think this division can be ours if we get 7. I can't believe a losing record will get us into the playoffs.
They have to change that rule somehow. They have to. It's ridiculous.
Just not this year, Jake. We need it this year.
This year.
Yeah, but I think what Greg said earlier kind of really stuck in my head, because we know how this team is. Like Greg said earlier, they'll go on a run here and there. We'll end up being in Washington. We'll somehow lose that game, and then we'll be out of the playoffs in Week 17. Because I think that's how the division's going to go. It's going to go all the way to Week 17 to crown a winner in the NFC East. Obviously, if something else happens, then we'll talk about that. But I don't want to get my confidence up too high just to get ready to be hurt again. But I can see them going on a run. And then I think it kind of not falls apart, but I just feel like they just miss it by a hair, unfortunately. But again, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'll go with Ted. I mean, I agree. Out of all 4 quarterbacks in this division, which one are you going with? And it's right here.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
Absolutely.
And I'll take that guy winning the division over any other of these quarterbacks. So, yes, they're winning the division to me.
To me, what the hell? I said it last night. As time progresses, I truly believe, given how weird of a year it's been, and kind of how weird of a year it always is with the Eagles, to be honest, just the weird finishes, the crazy finishes.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that whether it's the 6-9-1 Eagles, the 7-8-1 Eagles, the 5-10-1 Eagles, I do believe that this season is going to end, and in 2020 is going to end with the Philadelphia Eagles hosting a playoff game against Nick Foles and us beating them. It's the only way this could end. Where we get off to such a bad start, injury-wise, playing-wise, GM-wise, even though the GM's still going to suck regardless of what happens this year.
Mm-hmm.
It would just make all the sense in the world. It would be the one thing this year throughout the entire planet that would actually make a little bit of sense.
Yep.
Carson Wentz with the worst roster in arguably franchise history.
Wow.
A GM that's against him. Coordinators that we don't even know who the hell they are. No offensive coordinator. Doug being a mad scientist all over the place. Because honestly, the only way the Cowboys win this division is if they trade for a quarterback. And that's possible. That could happen. And if that happens, then obviously we'll ask this question again. But given the way the rosters are right now, and I just have to believe the blind faith, or maybe not, lack thereof blind faith that this GM has to where this division's so gettable, I believe there's going to be some kind of a trade to improve this football team. And I'm serious. That's my prediction. I'm sticking with it. Until it's no longer mathematically possible, I'm saying the Eagles are winning the division with whatever record possible. We're going to see Nick Foles the first week of the playoffs, and we're going to find a way to beat him. And then the Nick Foles versus Carson Wentz thing is going to end for 20 minutes. and then we'll be right back on it.
Yeah, I think it goes away forever because of the age factor. You know what I mean? And then it will become the Hurts thing. So it'll just shift.
Yeah.
It'll just shift around. They'll find something. Hang their hat on. Might even be Sudfeld. Who knows?
Studfeld.
Maybe McCown next year. He comes back. Look good in camp.
He's still got the best contract in sports.
You watch.
Yeah.
Of course, you know what? No, honestly, the perfect way this season would end is if we're on a train, all week we're talking about Carson Wentz versus Nick Foles, and by the end of the fourth quarter ends up the two quarterbacks on the field is Jalen Hurts and Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh, jeez. Don't wish that magic upon us.
I'm not wishing. I'm just saying, would we be surprised?
Thankfully, we might have the better guy.
Yeah.
No, I know for a fact we have the better guy. I've seen him throw a ball once. I know the other guy can't throw.
Yeah. Oh, man. Tell you one thing, though. A lot easier to talk about stuff after a dub, boys.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Anybody got anything else before we roll out of here?
Nope.
I got nothing.
Big Ten football back tomorrow. We're actually back tonight. Wisconsin opened up with a trouncing of Illinois. But Big Ten comes back to join the other rest of college football.
Yep.
That's about it. That's all I got.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's great. It's a good time to see some sports back going.
Matt Ryan to the Cowboys. That'd be interesting.
I heard that too. I did hear that.
Nobody's got time for that. But yeah, listen, boys, and everybody out there, we appreciate all your comments, questions. Enjoy your weekend. No Eagle stress this weekend. Soak in the dub for 10 days. Obviously, me and Greg will see you on Sunday. Shows all day tomorrow. Well, at least you got 2 of them tomorrow, not 3 because Andy went live tonight. So you got Kicking It Stateside tomorrow morning. See with the weekly roundup, and then we'll agree, disagree, and it shows all the time. We'll see. You'll see most of us next Wednesday too. We're here. We're rolling, and we love all you guys a ton. And we got to thank our doc, man. We're not here without him. Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton locations. Find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. That ball's laced.
Yep.
Destroyed.
And there's 2 outs. Came a little too late. It's time.
Yep.
Kenley though.
Bad good stats though.
Yes, that's.
Don, come on. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Good luck in your fantasy endeavors. And if you're a FanDuel junkie, we'll have a deal coming soon, and some promo codes and some fun stuff like that. So stay tuned. Lock in. If you ain't following, hit that button. Subscribe. Turn your alerts on. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there too. So download like a son of a bitch and stay tuned to us. We're here all day, every day. My marathon's over for a second. So for Tom Arnone, Ryan Brotto, Jake Frew, I don't have enough voice. Greg Mwagwick, Frank Vespi, everybody out there join us. Love yous. We out. Frank, anything as I end broadcast?
You can end the broadcast.